You are a wonderful God. Oh, my creator. Only you are.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Doyle back with another video. Today's video, I'm gonna be sharing y'all 4 things off of the checklist that I use, that I look for every single day when I'm trading New York session. This is only for New York session, okay? I don't trade London, so the first thing that I look for is news. I gotta check news. That's literally when I wake up in the morning. I have to check news. If I don't check news, I don't even know why I'm placing trades. You know what I'm saying? So whatever y'all use, whether y'all use investing.com, Forex Factory, FX Street, whatever you use, bro. But I'll just go to Forex Factory, especially if I'm trading Forex pairs, Forex Factory. I'm gonna keep it simple. So once I see that there's no news, I'm good to go. Like straight up, I'm good to go. The second thing, I have to pay attention to how much London have moved. Because I mean, I've been trading New York session for a while, and if I see that London session have moved too much, bruh, most likely New York session is about to consolidate. Most likely. That it happens all the time. So sometimes I do this. I will calculate how many pips it have moved from London session to the high of London. Okay, that moves about 70 pips. That's not bad because this is GU. Now, if that's 70 pips for EU, I'll be like, okay, I could possibly be consolidated in New York. So I have to prepare myself to see if it moved too much, because the market is not gonna go in one direction for too long. It just won't do that. It's gonna correct itself. It always do. So those are the 2 things. Well, that's the first 2 things. Check news and look at how much London have moved, because I'm telling you, if you see London have moved for too much, they're not gonna keep giving away money. That's just not how the market go. The market is gonna correct itself. The traders that was buying is usually going to lose if they try to hold it through New York. Okay, let me say that again. Traders that was holding trades in London usually is going to lose if they try to hold it through New York. Continuations aren't common like that. They will happen, but they don't do that every single day. It's usually a reversal. London go up and then New York will go down, something like that. That's usually what happens. Now, is that going to happen every single time? Absolutely not. But I'm just saying, like, when it's moving too much, be very careful if you want to touch that pair or whatever instrument it is. Just be careful, because sometimes they're gonna go back to where they was at the bottom of London or the top of London. It just depends on the structure for that day. But okay, so the third thing, where is the gaps in the market? So I'm not even talking about the setup that I'm taking. I'm looking for where the gaps are at, because the gaps have to be balanced out for the market to like, it have to go in those areas that have gaps in the market. So I pay attention to those. I would pay attention to those on a higher time frames. And lastly, the fourth thing is, does the higher time frame agree with my entry time frame? Those 4 things right there. Like, I have to make sure those are in check, or I understand the setup that I'm taking. Okay, so if the fourth one, if the higher time frame is not agreeing with the lower time frame, that doesn't mean I'm not going to take the setup. It just means I may have to lower my risk, or accept a loss if this is going to be a loss. Like, I have to understand that the higher time frame is just not in confluence with the entry time frame. Okay, so this setup that we took today, this is just regular demand setup. And when I went to the 1 hour, I'm like, okay, we got gaps below and gaps above. When I zoomed all the way out, I'm like, okay, we got more gaps above. So I'm looking like process of elimination. We got a gap right there, and we have some gaps over here. Just mark this up. Just scribble it in for the area that I'm trying to focus in on. Something like that. So those are gaps in the market that need to get filled in. And if I'm taking a 5-minute demand setup and I see that this area right here gotta get filled in, that make more sense to take the buy than the sell. Now, if I go back to the 1 hour, take this off. I go back to the 1 hour. Yes, we have gaps below, but what is the setup presenting on my entry time frame? So if I go back to the 5-minute and I see that we are at a demand, and then I go to the 1 hour and we have gaps that's literally sitting above that haven't been reached up in that area. I'm like, okay, this can possibly fill in this whole gap right there. So if you fast forward, like today was just a crazy day for GU. It just filled that in immediately. Like immediately, it just start filling it in. That's why I pay attention to the gaps. Like gaps are very important. If you don't understand gaps, I'm not gonna say you're lost, but you need to understand that. Like I'm not gonna lie, like it's kind of a deal breaker. So like those are the 4 things on my checklist. Like news, like I don't trade news. Sometimes news may help my setup, but I just don't want to risk that. I don't trade the New York Stock Exchange open. I don't like doing that. But yeah, definitely pay attention to how much London have moved, because I'm telling you, when London drop really hard and then New York come and it just start chopping up, like most likely you're about to lose. I'm not gonna lie. Like trading New York, in my opinion, can be tougher than London because London don't have as much news as New York. So you gotta avoid news, and sometimes it be random news popping up out of nowhere, so you wouldn't even be prepared for the loss. So in my opinion, I feel like New York session is more harder to trade because there's more news, but that doesn't mean like you can't make no money. You just have to pay attention to what has happened in the past, pay attention to the gaps, and make sure you're going with the direction on a higher time frame. So if I'm looking at the 1 hour right here, if I'm looking at the 1 hour, we're breaking structure. So this break of structure right here, that just made more sense on a 1 hour, and we had gaps above. So I would want to take some type of demand, some type of like a bullish liquidity grab, something like that, because we're already pushing up on the 1 hour. Because I like to look at the 1 hour as far as my direction when I'm trading a 5-minute chart. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna just say it again one more time. For us, the daily checklist I look for every single day, I have to make sure I check that off every time before I take a trade. So I'm gonna say it one more time. Check news. This is for people that trade fundamentals. Trade technicals. If you trade fundamentals, I'm sorry, this is just not for you. I don't do that. So check news. See how much London have moved, because I'm telling you, the consolidation will come in New York session. There will be no volume. You will lose, or you have to just trade range. You just have to trade the extremes of highs and lows. That's the best you can do. But far as like supply and demand in the range, it's just tough, bro. You're not gonna get a high RR like that. The third thing, pay attention to the gaps. Where the gaps are at. When you take your setup, are you approaching a gap? Is there a gap to the left-hand side? Is it a gap on a higher time frame? Like, pay attention to that, because that is very important. The market likes to balance itself out. It don't go in one direction. You can see NAS 100 is dropping now. Like, it's not going, like a couple months ago, it was just shooting up. But like as the stock market and crypto drop, like it's dropping. It's not going up like that anymore. And the last thing is to look at the higher time frame to see if it agree with your entry time frame. These things are very essential in my trading. It may be different for you, but I'm just trying to share this to somebody that needs some type of like checklist as far as waking up trading New York session. Because I trade New York session day in and day out. But I hope this helps somebody. Man, this trade that we took today was just beautiful. I didn't take nothing else but this trade right here. This demand setup on GU. It was just literally just gorgeous, bro. Like, it went all the way up to, I don't even know. I think it went all the way up into let me get off the replay mode. Let me see. Because this was just a beauty. I know some of y'all caught this. Let me get to it. So my stop loss was right here. And it went all the way up for, let me see, all the way up to the top. How much was that? A 1 to 25 RR. Like, that was like, today covered a lot of losses for people that took this buy right here. Like, it was just beautiful, bro. No cap. I didn't hold this whole thing, but I did get out at a 1 to 8 R. 1 to 8 R, like something like right there. I was like, yep, I'm just gonna get out, because I saw that the gap was over here. So I'm like, yeah, let me just get out, because we're starting to fill in gaps to the left hand side. So other than that, man, I hope I helped somebody with their checklist. You definitely need a checklist. I'm not gonna lie. Like, don't come to the market just not structured, bro. Come prepared, bro, because if you don't, bro, you're gonna be all over the place, and you don't have time to be trying to question the setup or question whether you should take this setup or not. You should just have your list already there. If everything's checking off, take the setup. Don't think about it. But that's all I got. Peace and love. I'm out.